welcome to historic Silkeborg, Denmark. It's a town built on the Gudnal River in 1844. It's surrounded by water and is aptly named the Lake District and outdoor capital of Denmark. It's got no less than 51 lakes and rivers in the area. Well, the world will meet at the lovely Silkeborg Sports Center here in the heart of the Jutlandic region of Denmark. Silkeborg Sports Center was built in 2007. We're here for the 40th edition of the LGT World Women's Curling Championship. We have the penultimate session for you here, and an all-Asia battle, China taking on Japan. Lovely green grass here as spring is on the way. I'm Luke Coley here, joined with Hans Frauenlob. It is going to be important games, playoff positions on the line. Good afternoon, Hans.
And good afternoon, Luke, and good afternoon, everybody. Glad you're with us.
Teams just going through the regular routine to start off each session here, honoring all the teams. Let's meet the teams in our feature matchup. For China, their lead, Ma Jingyi. Their second, Yao Mingyu. Skip throwing the third stones is Mei Ji. And their fourth stone thrower, Wang Rei. Their take on Japan with their lead, Hasumi Ishiguka. Their skip throwing second stone, Seina Nakajima. Third, Chiaki Matsumura. And their fourth stone thrower, Aikue Kitazawa. Here's the standings. We know 3 teams have qualified for the playoffs. Sweden has got the top spot in the round robin. Korea and Russia both at 8 and 3 into the playoff round. Switzerland at 7 and 3 controls their situation, as does China here in this game. The US at 6 and 5 has that final playoff spot right now. Then Japan and Canada both at 5 wins. Germany's still alive at 4 and 6. Then Scotland, Denmark, Finland, and Latvia eliminated from playoff contention at this year's World Championship. Sets up our games here in session 19. On sheet A, Germany takes on Finland. Sheet B, it's Switzerland taking on the USA. Our feature games on sheet C, China, Japan, and on sheet D, it is Russia taking on Latvia. Russia needs a win. So that is both those games. Team's final game of round robin play. Just 2 sessions remaining. Hans, important positioning. China, this is their only game of the day. It's their last game of round robin. Win, they know where they stand.
Yeah, China is on the brink of qualifying, but they have not fully qualified yet, so a win would clinch it for them. And for Japan, pretty straightforward equation for them. They've got 2 games today. If they win them both, they're in. So everything to play for, and using the best of the sporting cliches.
Throw them all out here throughout the game.
But yeah, we've been doing the math, so you don't have to. It's a 6 team that will qualify for the playoff phase. And as Luke said, really at this point, only 4 teams have been completely eliminated from contention. That means there are 9 that are still alive coming into this afternoon draw. 1 more round robin draw tonight.
There are 3 spots up for grabs still to be confirmed. We'll get into play here. Right away, it will be Japan having the hammer to start off. They won the draw shot challenge, which as well could be a big factor coming in, determining seeding in the playoffs, where they sit. Look at the numbers for the last stone draw challenge. Japan winning with 88.4 centimeters to 114 for China. China has the red stones. Japan with the yellow.
2 of the 3 teams from the Pacific Asia region competing at this year's LGT World Women's Curling Championship. First time ever we've had 3 teams from that region at this level.
Ma Jingyi, 23-year-old, will get this one underway. Both these teams like to play aggressively. They like to throw draw shots early, get things set up, and then throw big weight. Should be a fun afternoon of curling.
Yeah, both of these teams have shown flashes of real brilliance through the competition, and then just signs of a little bit of inexperience. This Japanese team, as Asumi Ishiguka lines it up. For 3 of them, this is their very first international competition. If you were with us last night, they took Switzerland down to the last rock of the game. They've been playing the top teams really tough. The Japanese have beaten the Canadians, beaten the Americans, so this team can play.
Well, right around the center, top 12 foot. Getting that aggressive start from both sides here early on in this game.
China qualified by virtue of winning the first ever World qualifying event. That's a new pre-Worlds qualifier that's been introduced this year. The way teams get here is through a regional qualification system. So there's a European Championship, a Pacific Asia Championship, and 2 teams come out of the Americas zone. And for the first time this year, Luke, 2 teams have been added in from a World qualifying event.
Yeah, and it was this Pacific region that had seen the growth in their game and wanting that extra spot. Have to get it through the World qualifier. And saw Finland, who was the other team to come out lower in the standings. But a very even field this year as they make the hit and stick right there. Six ends minimum must be played here. The rules of play: 38 minutes of thinking time with 1 60-second timeout. Yao Mingyu, 23-year-old. Trying to roll just underneath.
Oh, got some nice action on that second stone and leaves herself wedged in behind the center guard. Easy short raise for the Japanese, though, to get to it.
Both these teams do employ a player calling the game, as Seina Nakajima does that. 21-year-old skip, throw second stones. Meiji, the player, will throw third stones for China.
And that's becoming more and more common. Back in the day, it was very unusual that anybody other than the skip throwing last rocks, but now it's become quite common as teams look to take advantage of all the strength that they've got in their lineup. Sometimes the best thrower maybe isn't the best sweeper, or the best tactician may not be the best thrower, so teams find their best combination.
Oh, real big push, trying to hold the shooter with this one. Big roll, side of the 8-foot. That'll be Japan lying 1. They do have the hammer here in this first end of play.
Yep, things shaping up pretty well now for the Japanese to maybe get a pair in the first. That center guard still a bailout for Team China. Oh, just catches it thin. Sweeper saved that one, rolls away. So
chance of 2 taken away just like that. Now
exactly.
China will try and roll underneath. First end of play. This is session 19.
Noticed that a few times with this Japanese team. Nakajima can throw big weight, but sometimes early in the game they drop the takeout weight a little bit as Meiji throws.
25-year-old does the skipping duties and has Wang Rei throwing the final 2. Saw this earlier today, trying to, in our game Canada-Sweden, trying to play that hit and roll, running a little bit straighter, especially in that first end. Chiaki Matsumura, 26-year-old, as you said, Hans, the player with the little bit of experience for Japan. Played in 2013, finished 7th.
There's that control weight. Sticks around. The performance of all of the Pacific Asia teams that are here, and that's China, Japan, and Korea, has meant that that zone retains its 2 guaranteed qualifying places for next year's World Championships. It'll be the European zone as the zone that finished lowest ranked in the round robin this year that will sacrifice one guaranteed place for next year's qualifiers for World Women's.
So the nose hits, playing on the wide side of the ice. They want to roll inside, will make the nose hit, so nothing in the rings here.
Oh, great chance now for China to duck around the center and set up the force. As Wang Rui makes her way down to the delivery end.
Wang Rui, 24 years of age, is no lack of experience here at the World Championship. She's playing in her 4th different position.
Yeah, Wang Rui's done it all. We'll run a split time on this draw. It's been running about 14 seconds early in the game, 14-14-2, and that's in the 14-2 range, so that should be close, but it's going to maybe wreck on the center guard, and it does. Weight was good. But yeah, Wang Rui, she's played every position, and she's also represented China at the World Mixed Doubles and the Olympics at Mixed Doubles, so very little that Wang Rui does not do on a sheet of curling ice. Can do very capably. She's a really good thrower. Just a little tight with that one. Japan will have to make a play on it.
Now, do they want to roll underneath or try and roll this away?
Well, as Kitazawa delivers, I think you've got 2 stones to roll to. You can actually roll right across behind the corner. So I'd give it a shot.
A rail bag sweep, got to try and hold it. Need to stick around, can't afford to roll out and leave another shot for China.
Big sweep there from Wang.
Oh, and it spins back.
Spins back, the dreaded last gasp spin.
So sticking around now. Could see the draw, but not likely in this first end.
No, you're right, Luke. If it was later in the game, China might have a go at drawing around, but first end, you don't want to give your opponents a cheap deuce, so she'll play the hit. Only 2 gears for China, hard and whoa.
Right on the nose.
Nice
that
shot.
One goes.
So Kitazawa will try to blank. Has to go right out to the wing to make it.
final shot here, this first end. Kue Kitazawa wants to roll this one out, retain hammer into the second. No problem for Japan. So zeros go up in the first end between China and Japan at the LGT World Women's Curling Championship.
咱就保证扣人家2分进去，看着你们玩打。行。你那个，咱是出手稍微进去。我刚才感觉我设置的那个出手然后我问你出手，但是你那个真的很直，因为给的你那个点就掉了这么大，要给根本下来。说哪个？就你那个旋进的那个球。所以我感觉我出手太直了。你那个球直不直？要不给你收点点。球他们说掉线呢。 那个球你就先给我正常点，然后咱们一会儿如果我正常出手了还这样的话，再调。行，加油。因为我就感觉我那个出手是给上去了，然后我问他，他说没有。
Second end of play, no score after a blank first. Started with a centerline guard. And we are going to see it again. We give you live coverage here at the LGT World Women's Curling Championship. Session 19. Trying to determine the 6 playoff teams that'll get into the second tournament. Chance to win the world title.
Japan employing a tactic with the hammer that we've seen quite a lot from them this week. When the opponent throws a center guard, they quickly come around it. Other teams will throw corner guards in this situation, but Japanese seem to like ducking one around early in the end.
Well, good weight in behind. Maybe just a little bit deeper than they wanted.
Yeah, and then the line, they would have liked it a little bit better buried, but China will follow it down. Last game of the round robin for Team China. So after this one, they can have a leisurely meal. They can come back tonight and watch if they want and just kind of see what's going to happen to their opponents. They will have their tea much more peacefully if they come away with a win, and that will qualify them. Otherwise, they'll come back tonight watching and hoping that others assist them to get into the playoffs. It's always the intriguing part of the round robin. And the teams that are in kind of the bubble zone of the playoffs, they're aware of what's going on around you, and you listen to your coaches and you say, okay, focus, you know, one shot at a time, but you're very aware of, if you need help from somebody else, what's happening in the other games.
They're definitely aware of that, trying to play around the center line guard.
Just sneaking by. Pretty nice shot here from Japan, pushing it back.
just taps that one a bit.
Asumi Ishiguka, she's really come on as the week has progressed. She had a bit of a rough patch midweek, struggled a bit, but seems to be finishing the tournament pretty strong.
Didn't take much time to put the broom down for this run back call. China without the hammer. Yao Mingyu. Straight back, won't get anything. Rolls off the center.
Leaves a corner guard for the Japanese to maybe use as well. And there we see they're going to go after it right away. So if Japan can sink one here, they're in pretty good shape.
Good chance for Japan. They were set up early in that first end. Had a chance for two, but rolled out.
Yeah, Nakajima was the culprit last end on that hit and roll out, so she's trying to redeem here with the come around draw. Working this one hard for line. It's going to be close to that corner guard. I think it's going to crash. Yes, it does.
So unable to get around it, touches the front, leaves those two in the forefoot.
Well, and worse, she's rolled her guard to a place where China can double off the shots and roll behind the guard. Hit this one just off nose. Get a tiny inside roll, kill two, roll in behind the guards. So Sena will look to be picking it up a little bit from here. Have to get really close to the guard to make the double. Are they by it? Yes, they are. Caught it so thin that they, in fact, jammed it on the back stone. Yao Mingyu.
They played it fairly quiet with weight.
They did.
They catch that one really thin. Do make the roll. Are they more worried about the roll than making the double?
Well, I think so, but I agree with you, Luke. I guess they downed the weight a little bit, hoping to make it a little bit the inside roll. Worked out well, though. Undercover. Let's look at Germany, Finland. Finland playing the Yellowstones, Germany playing the Redstones. Una Kausta. A bit of a chance here. Germany desperately needs this win to stay alive. Esther Juhasz calling on the sweep. Can they hold the line to punch it through the hole? Oh, yes, indeed. That'll be a 3 for Finland. So Finland up 3-0 after one. Great start for Una Kausta.
Well, as that was going on, the run back was missed over the top. Actually picked their own stone, that stone in the back, and opening it up. So now a chance to lie 2 for the Chinese. Try and even them up. And even they are in the house. Meiji.
Pretty good shot by Meiji. Nakajima having a look at the angles. They're not perfectly parallel. Pretty close, but Nakajima will definitely want to roll towards the left-hand redstone. Chiaki Matsumura asking for a little more ice. Seemed to start that one fractionally. Looking for a roll, but it's pretty close to nose, and they jam their own at the back.
Just not getting the full result on these shots. Sit there now, China positioned to try and get the force here. Play the second end, China, Japan.
Chinese coach, Zhang Shipeng, making some notes.
Just got to be solid with these shots, try and exchange shots and get a force. Little roll away to lie 2 for China.
Angle's a little bit better for Japan to be thinking about a double takeout as we look at Japanese coach Yusuke Morozumi, stopwatch in hand.
Veteran of the worlds on the men's side, now coaching this team.
A little more weight, this one's tracking straighter.
Well, hit, make the double. We'll catch the backside of it and push it.
Chiaki just stepped the weight up a little bit that time, and I think that fooled them a bit on the line reach. He threw it well. Just caught it a tiny bit thin. Do hang around in the back ring. Let's look at the delivery. Started her first one a little bit, but that one, much more positive weight. Just slightly overswept it. Catch that one a bit thicker, they get fuller contact on the red, but they hit the back of the second red stone.
Still, China in position, forcing Japan to make the more difficult shot.
Yeah, Japan's been getting it set up in the early parts of the end, but in both ends, and this is from Nakajima, have given control back to China. As Wang Wei looks to remove that Japanese stone at the back of the house.
Right on the nose to lie 2. Well, decision, do you try and play the freeze now?
Yeah, well, Kitazawa patted her brush right in front of the back stone immediately and sprinted down to the other end, so she sure wants to throw the freeze. I think it's a good call in this situation. Pretty low risk. You're going to have to take your one anyways if you don't do something, so you might as well try to generate a pair. Find your draw weight in the process. So, yep, I like the freeze.
Well, Kitazawa in Japan blanked the first.
Grips at the back of the handle. It's becoming more commonplace now for more curlers. This one's got a curl. Hoping it stops. They're going to get a little bounce. Didn't really want that tap, but in the neighborhood. And it's a good range finder for Kitazawa.
Early end draw that you get to throw. As you said, Hans, low risk. No, trying to have a chance. We'll have some room to blast this one out.
Great look at how much these stones curl and finish in the late going. Just a little tap. Tappy, tap, tap.
Well, right on the nose.
Oh, very nice sweeping to hold the line. They were a bit panicked about it over curling, but very nice job by Yao and Ma to hold it.
Well, all that leads to they hit, score their single point.
Yep, the force is on. Needs to stick around in the 8-foot to score.
Been up and down this week on some of these shots where you have the shot against multiple, take your one, giving up some easy steals. Need a good start here coming into the day, 5-5. First of 2 games. Still trying to position himself into the playoffs.
Yeah, I mean, you wake up this morning and you look at the standings and you work it out. And the good feeling that you have is that you can approach the day knowing that it's all in your own destiny. You win 2 games, you're in. Nice shot here by Kitazawa, and they stick around.
So sit back of the forefoot. Japan get on the board first with a single point in the second. They lead China 1-0.
我掐他们表打的都不太大。这局2-0，然后再找一个场地也行，是吧？有机会就跟他打第4局，没机会咱就看第3局。
First score of the game goes to Japan in that second end. They get a single point. We'll play the third end now. China, for the first time, will have the hammer. And Han's seeing some different strategy.
Yep, in the previous end, we saw that when their opponent threw up the center guard, Japan decided to draw around it. Japan throwing the center guard, and they're electing to draw to the wing. Quite a conservative play, but it's a valid one. Sometimes that's dictated by how close the center guard actually is to the rings. This one is actually off the center line, so China's thinking that's almost like a corner guard, so we'll just take the play away from it and go around it later. Five rock free guard zone, of course, at World Curling Federation events this year. Teams are still working out when and how to use that 5 rock rule. Really, it gives more advantage to the team with last rock. If you want to throw 2 corner guards, you can.
Yeah, it's such a work in progress to figure out sort of game plans, and each team have little different tactics, how they want to approach it. You may have a plan if the guard's tight, or if the guard is long on a center line, you tick, you come around, you draw to the open side, obviously score and scoreboard dictating it. Ma Jingyi has to play the same thing with her second, draw to the open side.
I think where we're seeing the impact of the 5 rock rule most, Luke, is in the back end of games. We can see teams that are really making decisions around the 8th end of the game that perhaps under the 4 rock free guard zone rule they wouldn't have made. So in the 8th end, teams are much more conscious of having the hammer in the 10th. So we're seeing teams taking single points more often in the 8th end than they used to. Realizing that with the hammer, you've always got a chance to score 3. Whereas in the 4 rock free guard zone, scoring 3 was pretty tough.
Yeah, needing multiple misses.
Yep. Whereas with a 4-rock free guard, 5-rock free guard zone rule, if you've got 2 corner guards up, you can get stones behind, get a deuce, get a 3. That's much more plausible.
Well, we've seen lots of these hits on the open side in this first couple ends of this game.
Yeah, pretty cautious so far from both teams, really. I expect that to change.
Now China, a win, they know they get into the playoffs. Loss, then it all depends. Everything else happens in the 3 other games going on right now and the 4 tonight.
Yep, so if China loses, they drop to 7-5. And looking at the table, 7-5 should still be okay. It'll, at worst, have them tied with other teams, but it doesn't guarantee it. You know, there is a combination of factors where even 7-5, they could be eliminated. So easiest way to make sure you're in the playoffs tomorrow is win this game.
You know, one thing China will be, if they qualify, they beat in one of those qualifying games.
Yeah,
don't have a chance of being top 2.
That's right. So China can get to 8 wins, but that won't be enough to get them into the top 2. Top 2 teams qualify directly to the semifinal. This one is going to slide deep and maybe through. Nakajima just can't find the range.
Back in the 12-foot. Is that when they're going to make a plan up? We'll take a look over at Switzerland, USA. And
the yellow stone's being played by Team USA. So Alina Petz for Switzerland lining this one up, the 4th stone thrower. Lineup change for Team USA today, Luke.
Yeah, Jamie Sinclair actually in handshakes earlier today, she slipped and fell.
Oh my goodness.
And took a few slides in practice and didn't quite feel right. So she said, you know what, our best bet is with me gonna sit this one out. I'm gonna get some work done. And their alternate Vicky Persinger in as 3rd and Sarah Anderson skipping the team. But the Swiss get a great start, 2-0. They're up over USA. USA with a big win this morning though against Scotland. They're now sitting 6-5.
Yep.
They control where they want to be.
That had to be such a tough decision for Jamie, and what an unfortunate thing to happen. Because the USA's in a situation where a win here doesn't quite guarantee them a place either, but a loss here could drop them out of the playoffs. So a very mature decision from Jamie. If physically she's just not right enough to play to think of the team first and elect not to play in a very important game.
Now hitting on those stones back of the rings. Neither side really wanted to take too much of a risk in this game.
No, it's, let's be blunt, pretty dull so far. Really nobody attacking. Only setting single guards, not setting multiple guards. And here's all of the games that are going on out this afternoon. Finland leading Germany 1-0 on sheet A. Switzerland 2-0 over the United States on sheet B. Japan leading this one 1-0, and Russia and Latvia are tied up at 1.
Playing a little bit quieter because it's partially buried.
This one's going to spill.
China has the hammer. They're not going to get into a game around the corner. Just go out, rip front.
Well, China, I guess, playing by the absolute textbook here. Not interested really in scoring in the even ends. They want to score, or in the odd ends rather, they want to score in the even ends. So it looks like they're just trying to keep a blank alive. I kind of get that, but you know, on the other hand, I don't love it either. For me, when you got last rock and you got a guard up and you have anytime you've got an opportunity to generate a pair, for me, you go for it, especially in the first half of the game. But China playing percentages by the looks of it.
Yeah, and I thought it was 3 shots to 2, last to thirds. Maybe it was the first of your skip stones. You might have drawn around. They're thinking.
Yeah.
We saw, if you were with us earlier today, Canada-Sweden was a 1-0 game at the 5th end break, 4 blank ends. But they were similar to this, where it was sort of set up with the center line guard, no one able to make that hit and roll. One person rolls out. All right, let's just go peel it. Let's not take the risk.
Yes, fast forward to the next end.
In fact, partner this morning, Sandra Rovag, made a point. USA scored 6 this morning. That was more points than we had scored at that point in our game when it was 3-2.
Yeah, we have seen games out there this week where teams score in absolute bunches. We've seen 5s, we've seen 6s, but we've seen a lot of blank ends too, which is a little surprising.
Kitazawa not wasting any time to play this hit. We've seen at times them using some of their time early in games and getting into some time trouble. Maybe bank a little bit at this point. Only seen the one time where you see the time clocks going 31 minutes left for China, 30-45, so pretty similar here.
Yeah.
Only one we saw was Finland running out of time and lost a game against Switzerland.
Yeah, you want to manage the clock so you've got enough time to play your shots thoughtfully in the final end as Wang Wei rolls out.
And like that, we'll have our second blank of the game. We are through 3 ends of play. It is a 1-0 Japan lead over China. Thanks for tuning in here, our live coverage of the LGT World Women's Curling Championship 2019. Luke Coley here with Hans Frauenlob and China, Japan, battling for potential playoff positions.
Yeah, Luke, we talked about China playing it by the textbook, and here's a great example of it. Now we're in the 4th end, we're in an even end, and they are throwing the corner guard, so Chinese strategy pretty clear. If it's an even end and we've got the hammer, we'll throw a corner guard. If it's an odd end and we've got the hammer, we probably won't. We'll throw it in the rings.
%80 on the tournament for Hasumi Ishiguka. Good numbers at a first World Championship. Ishiguka.
And playing in your first Worlds is a big deal. Players when they get competitive, and usually it's pretty hard to win your national championship. And for this Japanese team to win their national championship, they had to defeat Satsuki Fujisawa, who's the Olympic bronze medalist. So hard enough to win your national championship, get to your first world championship. And this Japanese team, they've been very impressive for their first out in the Worlds. It's a big different experience.
Yeah, your reward for beating Fujisawa, not just beating them once, beat them 3 times in that championship. You see Ma Jingyi at 84%. Your reward, you get to go play 13 teams, 12 other teams in the world, best in the world, and a long grind of a championship.
Yeah, it's a long week. You're in an arena, you're playing in front of a bunch of spectators, you're on television. It's a new experience. China looking to duck one around the corner guard. Pretty good looking stone here. 3/4 buried, I'd say. Maybe not 100% buried.
Jingyi in a nice spot in behind.
Maybe a corner of it available for Japan to make a play at it.
Well, these are the stones where the dynamic of the team changes a little. The skip throwing their 2 stones and going down at the second spot. Seina Nakajima, 81%.
Seina's looking for a shot to turn her game around. She's really struggled in the early ends, so let's see if she can get it going here with a touch shot. Well, by the guard, it's only going to catch it thin. Moves the Chinese stone, but spills her own stone to the back 12-foot. So once again, Nakajima not quite nailing it.
Well, they get on the sweep late to try and carve it, trying to get the stone the extra curl.
Do get a piece, but spill into second shot position. So green light go for China now. Great chance to set up a pair.
That's something we've really seen in the last little bit. Yao Mingyu, 79% is the directional sweeping.
Yeah, a few years ago, there was a real controversy in the sport. So-called aggressive fabrics on the brushes and hair brushes, letting teams steer the rock. Now there's standardized fabric on the brushes, and all the manufacturers follow to a specific tolerance. So teams are still trying to directional sweep, and it has a small impact, but definitely much less an impact than it used to have. But where the directional sweeping works most effectively is when the weight of the stone is kind of, board weight and lower. Anything faster than that, no impact really. But the theory behind directional sweeping is getting the angle of the brush into a direction that actually creates little scratches on the ice, which the running surface of the stone follows.
This one trying to direct it right onto the corner of that red stone.
Again, tiny bump just unlocks. 6 inches from a great shot, but that little bump makes it just an average shot. See, the Chinese can make a play at the stone and leave themselves lying 3, and just asking for hack weight, she might even be able to get a half rock inside roll behind that red guard, which would potentially set up a big end for China.
This is the start of a big push for Chinese curling. Next Olympic Winter Games in China, Yao Mingyu. Got to get it past the front. Now the roll.
Yeah, they're actually looking to roll this to the inside away from the counter, so they never really tried for the outside roll. China does lie 3. But yeah, you're exactly right, Luke. Next Winter Olympics are in Beijing, and all Chinese winter sports are making the expected big effort in preparation. I was speaking with one of the Chinese coaches at an event earlier in the year, and he was telling me that China reflected on their curling performance in the last Olympic cycle and said, well, we kind of put all our eggs in one basket. this time around their preparation approach, instead of putting all the investment into one team, they're actually wrapping effort and coaching around multiple teams. So they're going to have more eggs to put in more baskets this time.
Well, Japan trying to make that flip underneath. It's a little bit, makes this shot a little trickier for China now.
Yeah, angle's not easy for China. China definitely won't be able to roll to the center this time. They're going to have to get to nose at least. And that will mean they have to flirt with the corner guard. Meiji always looks peaceful as she's delivering the stone. Quite serene. Sweeping for curl here. This one is well by the guard. I think this one is just going to jam, yes.
Well, they get lucky and keep that one in the back. It rolls just out of the rings, it looks like. Yep, we'll look over at Russia and Latvia. Third end, 1-1 the score.
Yep. 2 stones in the rings. The red stones belong to Kovaleva of Russia. So Iveta Stastasaruna of Latvia throwing this last stone against 2. This Latvian team, even though they're at the bottom of the table, have played a lot of teams really tough this week. Santa Bloomberg now coming out to join in the sweep. Well, there's a team effort.
Get it far enough, they get their one, so Latvia leads 2-1 after 3 ends. Over on sheet D, we'll keep you up to date as well. All the other games, as they take a look. We'll slide over Switzerland, USA.
Yep, 3 stones in the rings now for Switzerland, so the force is on. Team USA skipping today is Sarah Anderson. Jamie Sinclair, as we mentioned a wee bit earlier, had an injury in the pregame warm-up, so she pulled herself out of the lineup. So I'm sure Sarah Anderson, when she got up this morning, didn't think she was going to be throwing skip rocks, but she is.
Well, they're in a position, they do need a little bit of help as well, but they win, they can do their part. Trying to get to the playoffs for a 2nd straight year.
Yeah, USA.
I hate this, how straight it is.
A really important game for them here to stay alive in the playoffs. The stone comes to the back of the button, so good draw against 3 there for Sarah Anderson, and the USA close it up. Switzerland leading that one 2-1.
Nice draw. Great draw.
China electing here, they want to open up the front after Japan hooks one around.
Well, this ends a bit of a mirror image of the earlier ends where a Japanese miss mid-end turned things around in favor of China, and now China with a couple of half misses and Japan in a great situation now.
Saw the numbers there, Meiji, 83%. Solid at the 3rd position, really helping set the table for Wang Rui.
Yeah, she's had a good week. Yeah, reflecting on that situation for Team USA, Luke, you know, sometimes those types of things, it's interesting how teams respond to them, especially when it happens really unexpectedly and subtly like it did today before game time. Sometimes teams respond really, really well and rally around. I'm thinking earlier in the week when Sophie Jackson of Scotland had a back injury and Lauren Gray came in, and Scotland had a really good 2-win day on the back of it. So we'll keep an eye on that American game and see how that team responds to what's a really challenging situation for them. Kitazawa now with a great chance to lock it up a little bit. They're taking a long discussion there with her sweepers about where exactly they want to leave this one. Looking at the brush position, Luke, looks like they might be trying to block off the path to the stone that is in 2nd shot position.
First of 4th stones.
They are in fact, trying to block up the hole on the intern side. Block off the path to the button as well as block off the path to the stone in the 8-foot. Good shot. China lining up the run back.
Just want to try and leave themselves something on their last.
Yeah, well, it's pretty ugly right now, so you have to do something to open up the shooter. These teams, more and more teams these days are really comfortable throwing these 6-8-foot runs with a lot of accuracy. So they're not only thinking about opening it up, but probably thinking about opening it up and killing the shot at the same time. They can throw it hard enough to hit 7/8 and still make the double takeout and roll away, opening up the 4-foot. And there you see Wang Rui throwing missile.
Now try and make the double peel with that one.
Yep. Sending rocks everywhere.
That's going to be facing multiple points now.
Yeah, she will. Japan line 3 now. Does open up the front, so Japan's going to have to set a good guard. Watch the rocks fly. Red, yellow, yellow. Yellow into yellow. Nudging red. Stones bouncing off sideboards. Cats and dogs living together. Everything going on.
Sometimes you try and throw it hard. You are not as accurate with the line. That's the case there. So now, chance here for Kitazawa. Put this in a good spot. Really put the pressure on Wang Rui.
Yeah, this shot's all about line. Kitazawa threw a guard on her first one, so she should know the weight. But key thing for this shot, you want to get full cover on your shot rock. If you're going to show Wang Rui anything, show her the outside of the stone, cut off the path to the button in the process. That's pretty close to where she tapped the brush. Sits parallel, does show the outside of the shot rock. Probably shows her a little bit more than she would have liked, but that's a good spot. Makes Wang Rui really think now.
Is that the teaser to maybe go after it?
Totally. I think it's always a good idea to show your opponent a little bit of the rock and plant a different thought in their mind. And you say, oh, well, I can make a play at that, and then they make a play at that, and they wreck the guard, and you steal a bundle.
Well, they do lie 3. Japan leads this game 1-0. Wang Rui has the intern draw to the button.
Well, this is where Wang Rui will be drawing on her mixed doubles experience. Spend a lot of time drawing to the pin in mixed doubles, and that's what she has to do here. She has to hit the button against 3. Keep an eye on the split. We had about a 14-2 on a draw earlier in the game. Let's see how close she is at the hogline split. 13-9, weight's all there.
Got to sit on the button. Now got to play for the little chip and roll. Roll it on. Look at that line call.
Wow.
Meiji.
Terrific shot by Wang Rui and a good line read by Meiji.
So a single point facing 3. Watch this, the line call, knowing they need a little rub. Credit Ma Jingyi, Yao Mingyu, letting know the weight was a bit heavy.
Yeah.
And it's a single point.
Had to read it a little bit like a split. Had to catch it really thin to kill the momentum and keep it around, and good read, good shot, good result for China.
So 1-1 now, Japan after 4 ends. Well, both teams with a single point. Also 2 blanks out there. 1-1 the score. Japan gets the hammer back as we play end number 5 now. It's the final round robin game for China. 1 more left for Japan. They'll play the top seeded Swedes later today. Doesn't get any easier.
No, if you got to win your way in, you might as well beat the tough teams getting there, because if you get in, you're going to have to beat them in the playoffs anyways.
Neither side with the hammer really able to set things up as we'll look in Germany and Finland. Notice Finland got set up again.
Yeah, it looks like a pair already in there for Finland. A lot of stones clustered around them, but Finland lying 2. A little gap for Una Kausta to draw through to maybe put another 3 on the board. Finland out of playoff contention, but trying to take the Germans out of playoff contention in this game.
Yeah, Germany 4 and 6 coming in, so a loss knocks them out. They could win out and still not make it in, but have to win your games first.
A nice looking stone here from Kausta. And yes, indeed, another 3 for the Finns. That puts them up 6-1 after 3. Wow.
Well, trying to draw this one right around, get in lie 2.
Japan electing again to, with the hammer, play around center guards. Yao-Ming-Yu. They're really working this one. They're worried about it over curling. If they got contact, yes they do, but it's going to spill.
Well, rolling out decision. You can freeze that one. You could hit it lie 2. Split the rings.
Yeah, either of those strategies are valid. Drawing the open side. I would have liked to see them throw it in front of the Chinese stone myself, but nothing wrong with this. Trying to keep stones well separated. That tells me they're thinking about 2 rather than 3.
Well, it's been a low-scoring affair so far. Neither side able to get more than just the 1 point.
Yep. Pitcher's duel so far. No multiple point ends. Trying to sweep it deep as they can to get more separation, and that's a pretty good shot. The farther back they get it, the less chance that China could hit and roll into the button area, but they've left it high enough that China can do that.
They won't get anything. They'll miss it completely.
Oh my.
Open miss. Yao-Ming-Yu.
You could hear the urgency in the sweeping call, Luke, and that tells us why. Narrow out of hand and blows right by silently.
Did not have a chance to get anything of that.
They're going to have no voices left at the end of the week. That's when you tell you've had a good tournament. Lose your voice sometime on Friday.
I've seen some even a little hoarse earlier in the week on the Monday, Tuesday.
Well, that's the, that's rookie inexperience there. You got to pace your voice.
Let's look over at Russia and Latvia over on sheet D. Russia comes in 8-3. They have qualified for the playoffs.
Lena Kovaleva here with a chance to potentially score 2 for sure, maybe 3. Needs to get to the stone of the Latvian rock on the top of the forefoot, but they're not laying a brush to it yet. Niet, says Brizgavala. Well, they do remove it, so it is a pair.
Oh, it looks like they rolled the shooter just onto the forefoot as well for 3.
Yeah, we'll just wait for the confirmation from the officials on the score, but regardless, good result for the Russians.
They do get 3, so a 4-2 lead after 4 ends of play over on sheet D. Depending how Switzerland and Korea does this evening, Russia a chance at that 2 seed.
Yeah, and that's a real prize, Luke. The 1 and the 2 seeds move directly to the semifinal. I like this system with a 6-team playoff. It gives reward to the teams that finish at the top of the round robin. It's a big round robin phase, so should be something you get for it.
But Japan ended up coming right onto the face of their own, leaving a double possibility.
And China does blast them away.
Not only does it make the double, they sit there, and I notice it leaves a double back. If Japan elects to hit it.
Yeah, you got a few options here. And Japan's got a lot of house to roll to. Could just draw there as well. That's an option. Got the hammer. Might as well use it. I like this call.
You liked playing this a few stones ago, didn't you?
Well, you know, you've got your shot rock in a good position, Luke. You're half buried around. And if you're trying to score 3, you want to make your opponent's shot really tough. Even if this one doesn't get into second shot position, it would give China something to think about. Let's have a look live now at Finland and Germany, and 4 yellow Finnish stones in the ring. So Daniela Jentsch running into a Finnish buzzsaw this afternoon.
Yeah, and games that she needs to win, actually needs to win to help other teams possibly have a chance. Trying to keep 6 losses alive and stay at that mark.
Well, Schauen says Jentsch, that means look in German, so she thinks she's a little heavy. It's going to go back to the back of the forefoot. It will hang around for a single point, but a good force for Finland, and Germany trail it by 4. It's 6-2 after 4. A loss would eliminate Germany.
Meiji trying to blast this one out. Well, rolls just out. Actually helps them that it did touch the bumper.
Yeah, that would have created a little pocket for Japan to draw in front. So yeah, maybe one more time out to the wing, and then if you're Japan, maybe you think about going around the center guard again. Chiaki Matsumura. Good weight, but not so good line. Open for China to make a pass at it without jamming.
That's what makes it tough to roll to the center, try and get for them to get hidden.
Well, that's it. I mean, if that stone is 1 rock width further to the left as we're looking at it, if China would have tried to hit in the inside roll, it would just jam on the stone, but now China can go after an inside roll with pretty low fear of a jam. China won't mind too much if they lose their own backstone in the process. Wang Rui.
Well, they do avoid the jam. Little roll in, not quite shot stone. Let's look in Switzerland and the USA.
Well, nothing but a wall of yellow facing Elena Petz. USA with the altered lineup playing this Swiss team tough. This Swiss team is on a roll. Struggled a little bit in the early part of the week, but they've been stringing wins together and gathering momentum late in the tournament. And Petz, the 2015 world champion, drills it back forefoot for the one. Switzerland leads it 3-1 after 4.
The US coming in 6-5 record, really needing a win as well. Swiss trying to give himself a chance at that 2 spot into the semi.
Yeah, Russia, Korea, Switzerland, they're all teams that have got eyes on potentially second place.
It is Korea's to control, though. If Korea wins tonight, doesn't matter what the other 2 do. And that being the 19-year-old Korean rink. One of the other of the 3 Pacific region teams here at this year's championship.
Yeah, Minji Kim's team. It's a great story this week. They've had a really good week. A little good inside roll here for Kitazawa. Didn't quite hide it. Awkward angle, though, for China. Risk of feathering the top stone. She thinks it's a thin double there.
Played almost to miss that top one. If you clip it, it's good.
You have to catch it really thin. We've seen that Wang Rei can throw it hard. That's not a problem. So she can hit it, throw it hard enough to hit the top one thin, make the double. Looked to me like that's what she's thinking about anyways. Danger is if you catch the top one a little bit too thick, you'll just go across the top and give your opponent a draw for 2. Not too many other options.
Well, Wang Rei's final stone.
She's actually thrown the Japanese stone. She's thrown the yellow stone instead of the red stone. They had to look twice as the stone was in motion.
And we'll hit and roll out. Makes replacing it easy.
Yeah, I'll just take it back down the end and throw it again. Second time this week.
Don't know if I've seen that late in an end like that.
No.
I've seen it with lead stones.
As the players exchange a smile about that.
Two teams normally have lots of chuckles out there. They'll have a laugh about that one.
There's Wang Rei. Whoops.
Now here's a question, though. With this stone already being thrown down, will that change the speed of it at all?
It shouldn't really. It's a good question. Something I've never really studied. We just keep throwing the same stone over and over again.
Because you rarely see that.
You don't see it very often.
Kitazawa. Chance, though. First deuce of the game. Get this into the 8-foot.
Sweepers jumping this one hard and early. They think it's a bit light. Now they're backing off. Pretty happy with it. Kitazawa throws a fair amount of rotation on her draws. They carry a little bit further.
Well, a good solid end for the Japanese foursome. They come up with a 2 in the 5th end. They will head to the break with a 3-1 lead over China here in our feature game. Second end, and Japan with the hammer facing a couple. Ikue Kitazawa needs to make the hit and stick. The young Japanese fourth stone thrower. Little roll, sits back of the button and gets the first score of the game. Fourth end, and Japan putting the pressure on. Wang Rui needs the button here for a single point, facing three. Great communication and a line call late. Meiji calling on the sweepers to get the little chip, roll onto the button, and get one. Well, a couple early misses, and now a chance at the first deuce of the game for Japan. Ikue Kitazawa right into the 8-foot, and Japan gets their 2 points to take that margin of lead into the fifth end break. The other scores going on here in session 19. Finland leading Germany 6-2. On sheet B, it's Switzerland up 3-1 over USA. We're on sheet C, the 3-1 Japan lead, and Russia 4-2. They lead Latvia.
勤交流，场地的变化，包括力量控制上勤交流。粘磕，正常打进攻粘磕都可以啊，给他制造击打难度。现在他们整个打球没有什么太多难度，因为我们打的过于保守，他没有太大难度，他就是简单击打进行，简单击打进行。然后后半程尽量把进攻打起来的，后手不丢分，这是一个硬原则啊。完了进攻该做要做。
他们好像主要喜欢打意识的。
嗯。
他们好像喜欢打意识的。
こっちの半分気をつけて、幅ね。こっち半分ね。こっちからも曲がってないでしょ。だからなんかだいたいそっち側とかはさ、こっちにはまだ曲がってんじゃん。こっちちょっと戻りは甘いけど、だからその辺の読みに。曲がらなかったじゃん。今の最後の一投初めて内側にロールしたと思うんだよね。内側にロール狙って。だからああやって徐々に合わせていってしっかりとアイス読んで、あとこういうインアウトもね、特にこっち半分のこのインアウトで結構曲がらなくってとかで向こうもミスしてるし、うちもミスしそうになってるし、だから気をつける。よくない。そう、あれ石曲がってなくてさ、毎回1個同じ幅で出してるんだよね。
Well, through 5 ends, here's the numbers so far. Japan with that 3-1 lead. Overall percentage slightly ahead is 78 to 76%, but the draw percentage, China advantage 90 to 76. The hits for Japan, 79 to 69. Little low scoring. 3-1 though the score. The big 2 in 5 for Japan has them in front. Look above here, the Silkeborg Sports Center, the LGT World Women's Curling Championship 2019. Second half to begin. I am Luke Coley, joined with Hans Frauenlob. And China gets the hammer. Bit of a defensive struggle early. Both sides not able really to put 8 full shots together. We'll try and do that now in the second half of a very important game.
Yeah, big deuce for the Japanese in the fifth there, Luke. That was the first end that the Japanese were able to kind of carry it right through an end and close it out for multiple points. So I expect China will come back here in the sixth, throwing corner guards and really trying to attack. Japan trying to counter that by coming into the rings first, and that one's just going to sit pretty much on the tee line.
And as you expect, China in the sixth end, going to put the corner guard in front.
Walk along with the Chinese rock. Comes to rest just on the LGT logo. It's a good spot.
Sumi Ishiguka, 82% on the game, above her tournament average. Look in, Russia, Latvia, fifth end to play. Looks like Russia lying 2.
Yeah. Latvia needing to hit and stick to score a single point. So nice job by the Russians after scoring 3 to force your opponent to a single. Iveta Stasta Saruna lined it up on the in turn, but now she's switching to the out turn for the right-hander.
So Latvia coming in at 1-10 record.
Looks pretty good. Right to the beak. Confirmed that that's a single point for the Latvians. Looks like it.
It is the 1 and a 4-3 Russia lead over Latvia into their fifth end break. I was trying to place boy there. A little change for Russia as well. They've Katerina Kuzmina is out for this game. Yuliana Vasileva is in at the lead position. Might be a case of, you have a playoff spot and they've figured it out. It'd be real tough for them to get the 2 spot.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, it's an interesting decision about resting a player. Sometimes it's just to give your alternate the chance to say that they played in a World Championships. So every team has its reasons for when and how and why they'll use an alternate player.
Some teams might do it. You get up in a game and that, but Kuzmina coming off playing the World University Games as well. A lot of sweeping, a lot of games played in the last few weeks. We have the regular lineups here in our feature game, though, China and Japan. Yao Mingyu, 58% on the game.
It is a long week. 13 member associations. Let's look in at Switzerland and the United States. There are 3 red Swiss stones in the rings.
Going to be a test for Sarah Anderson now.
Yeah, so you want to be a skip.
Nice control. Yep.
Well, it's a lot easier throwing this as the 3rd spot, knowing if you miss,
Exactly.
you still have 2 more after it. What? Sarah Anderson is up to the task, right on the nose, hanging in there. 3-2, Switzerland leading the USA into their 5th end break.
USA really needing that win to keep themselves in the playoff hunt. Well by the guard. This one is going to go deep. Hangs around just half in the 8 foot at the back. Fully behind the guard though. Nakajima.
You've said it throughout. She's been fighting it throughout this entire game.
She has. Just not 100% dialed in. A little heavy, a little wayward on the hits. You have to battle through that as a player. Nobody wants to miss. And everybody's got their own different coping mechanisms for how they make adjustments when it's just not firing on all cylinders. Hearing that urgency again in the Chinese sweeping voices, and that usually tells you it's offline. Chip the corner guard. They might be biting top 12.
Looks like they are top, just into the top of the rings. Another opportunity, Japan, draw around.
Yep. Good chance now for Japan to set up the force. Get another one in there, front of the tee line. Chiaki Matsumura.
83% on the game, above her tournament average.
Yeah, but top flight curlers, I kind of compare it to golf, Luke. You know, the best players in the world, the best golfers in the world, every once in a while they'll pooch one. it's how they recover from there. Usually their misses aren't as ugly as the average hackers are, and they recover better. And it's the same with curlers. When they're struggling, a lot of curlers will just try to simplify their shots a little bit. That stone, good line, but again, fraction deep. Meiji.
75% Meiji. Not quite where she's at her tournament. China's just been a little bit off. This one, they came off that big win last night.
Stone comes up short. It's right in front of the Japanese rock, so that's the good news for China, but bad news, second shot. Japan will guard.
They will guard. Something they can use later.
Well,
the pro side of missing that one.
Yeah, Japan's got to be a little bit careful here because China does have stones to run in on the left-hand side of our picture. But the most dangerous rock is the one that Meiji just delivered. Japan can't really hit that one. If you're not going to guard, the only other attacking shot for the Japanese would be to corner freeze the inside of the Chinese stone, which is a tough shot. Lower risk shot defensively as a guard. It's because you've got a little bit more tolerance for distance. As we know, Luke, perfect freeze, toughest shot in curling.
Some leads may actually say the tick is.
I disagree. The tick, you've
Trying
got,
to put
you
it
can
right
hit a quarter,
on the
you can hit it
face.
thin, you can make it heavy, you can make it light. Perfect freeze.
Just a little bump on that one, pushes it back. Not quite the perfect freeze.
Not quite the perfect freeze because it needed to be on an angle. The angle has just lined it up for China, so it's an easy tap for China to move their own stone into shot position. Close to the guard, just trying to promote yellow onto red, onto yellow. Tickety,
Yeah.
tickety, tick.
You said it, Hans. Just didn't have the right angle for Japan. That set right up for China to be able to push that in. We'll look in Germany and Finland.
Well,
Wow, Finland has come out guns a-blazing today.
meanwhile, back at the Finnish buzzsaw, seems like they can only score in threes today. Trying for another field goal here. Una Kausta. I can't remember a game I've ever played in where I've scored threes. Let's see if she can make it. Kind of keep that scoreboard looking pretty. And there you see 1 3, there you see 2 3s. Can she get a third one?
No problem getting this one in there.
Holy moly.
They took a long look at that one, but it is 3 for Finland, so 9-2.
Wow.
Not what Germany wanted.
No, not at all.
And any Canadian fans watching as we see Kitazawa at 98% on the game, well above her tournament average.
Yep.
Canada needed Germany to win this to really have a chance.
Yep. So Canadian
Not
curling
looking good.
fans, sorry about that. You're needing help from Germany and not getting much of it right now. Trying to replicate the tap, but it's not going to move it very far. Not even going to move it at all, just freezes to it. What Japan does do is really, now if you're China, how do you get 2?
How do you get another one in there?
Tap center red straight back into the forefoot, that's one way to do it. Angle tap red on the wing into the forefoot, that's another way to do it, but risky. Well, is China called a timeout? Thought I saw Wang Rui
Yeah, they
signaling,
did.
and yes, she has.
Zhang Zhipeng make his way down as they talk this one over here in the 6th end.
那个球是走不了，但是现在就是这个球很尴尬，这个球出不了。
Well, we talked a little bit about the even ends, Luke,
对，你
and
这个球一旦动了有点冒险，你这个点必须
China
得
really
传
pressing to
不是
score
我
multiple
就是按
points in
传
the
这
even
个
ends,
这
but
个来，如果没下来就磕这个，稍微给它变一点。
don't want to do
因为
something
这
here
个
that
球它一
could
打就留那儿了。
give Japan another chance at that tap, 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 and set up a steal. You can go a little hard, too
中
hard
间这球
sometimes
位
to
置
get
不
your
错，
twos.
先
Let's
不用着急投，
listen to the coach.
传边上这个也可以。你可以把边上往里传，左脚也行，传赢的是最好的。中间的球留着，你最后再用就行。
是拿边儿。
你拿边上这个往里传
往里旋，
往里传，旋比较难嘛，这边很直的，这俩球那么近，你一旦磕开了，它旋粘你没那个必要。把边区这个往里传，最好能传赢的是最好的，就是传外角一半都行。
外角偏啊，把那黄球往外磕一点呢。
对呀、你就是传薄的，把它传到三分区就行，赢它是最好。留到上面就可以吧。他下把很有可能就传自己的垫子。
对。
所以说现在就是你把这往里传，能碰见黄的是最好，往薄了点传就行。OK， 不行，最后拿那个传，你还有1分2分。行。好。OK。因为他这边掉下来，已经掉下来漏了3
The
分
way
之
the
一，他传也
stones
不
are
是很容
lined
易。
up, Luke, if Japan ever gets a chance to throw at the stone they just threw in the top 8 foot, they're all lined up. Yellow, red, yellow, red. So Japan's got an escape shot if they want to throw it.
Well, it looked at figuring out which guard they wanted to play, which side they wanted to go after. Do you go to the wide one, and that's definitely the one they're approaching at this moment. Is that a case of maybe trying to leave the tighter one as your better option on your last if you needed?
Yeah, they are worried a little bit, I guess, about protecting shot rock. So if you play the center one and you miscue and you open it up, then maybe you open up the path to the button for Japan. So playing the angle first does keep the center guard up for China, protecting the shot. But unless Wang Rui can wedge one in there, Japan's still going to have some kind of shot here.
Wang 85% for Wang Rui.
Yep, throwing the red one this time, so
Step one correct.
Got a good color choice. Trying to angle tap, about a 10-foot angle tap, trying to just almost draw it sideways into the button. Not going to work. Does leave her own stone sitting in a better spot to raise on her second shot. I'm a little surprised, Luke, that Japan's not even thinking about trying the triple tap. They're thinking about the guard to try and defend against any possibility of a 2. So Japan pretty happy with a force here.
Guard is sort of what I thought first, but...
Well, guard's a good call if you're happy with the force. I still think Japan would have a chance to steal, but the guard is a good call.
Well, Kitazawa will try and place this one in the right spot.
Trying to take away both the raise and the draw from China. Trying to cut off the pass to the 4-foot and take away the tap.
Yeah, it's a
Pretty good shot. Yep. Wang Rui can still get around the whole pile, though, and draw into there. And that's the shot for 2.
Signing up the double tap?
Well,
or is there a hole?
There's a hole. I think this is harder, to be honest. I think the draw is the easiest shot for 2. I think she can pretty easily get to full 4-foot by drawing on the intern side around the pile. A good look at the overhead. She would need to throw it on the tee line, but if she gets by the top red on the intern side, it should curl enough to get into the 4-foot fully. Now Wang Rui talking about a double raise, yellow-red. That's crazy tough. Well, one timeout's been used, so Coach Zhang can only watch. He's not allowed to give the players input from the bench unless the timeout's called.
Well, it looks like with this ice that it's through the hole.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I think, well, I saw Wang Ray patting the yellow to red. I think she's thinking yellow, red rays. I mean, these are like super high degree of difficulty shots. Wouldn't be my shot choice.
Trying to navigate that board and play the tap, it looks like.
Yeah, it's definitely a raise. There's no doubt about that. It is going to try and tap her own.
Got to get through the hole first. Got to get through and can't get through the port and all that. And it's a single point for China. They will cut into the lead, but only by 1. It's now 3-2. Japan has the hammer. They'll get the hammer back heading to the 7th end. The center line guard will start things off the 7th end. Here's we are on sheet C. An all Asia battle. China taking on Japan.
True to form. Japan going around the center guard again, Luke.
Pretty predictable as that front. The scenario, 7th end. No real thought about maybe trying to keep it away, try and go for set up possibly blanking. They like to just go right after it.
Yep. It's almost like clockwork. Japan has the hammer. They'll go around to center guard on the first. Worked for them in the 5th end, where they got a pair.
So center line guard, corner freeze, Ma Jingyi.
Good news for China. If you're a China fan, your team still has control of the even ends, even though they're trailing by 1. Let's look at Russia and Latvia. And some stones around the front of the 12-foot. Looks like red is lying 1, so this looks like a draw for 2 for Alina Kovaleva.
Yeah, a chance to make it 6-3. playing very strong. They want to give themselves a chance.
Yeah, the Russian team is a team that's just kind of snuck through the field fairly unnoticed this week. You know, in the pre-tournament predictions, there weren't too many people picking this Russian team to be up near the top, but here we are at the business end of the week, and with a very solid chance to finish top 2 and go straight to the semi, and that's a 3 for Russia. So Kovaleva keeps rolling along. That's 6-3 for Russia after 6.
Very good Russian side that teams made or people may not have heard of. There's not a lot of talk about. A lot of people with the Sidorova, the Moiseva.
Exactly.
Coming off a bronze medal at last year's World Championship too. Arsenkina brings that experience with her.
Yep, the Russian team had a very good run last year in North Bay. And they've got a few fans here in Silkeborg as well, supporting them. Japan sliding to the back of the 8-foot circle, behind the center.
So 2 in behind those guards out in front.
Yao Mingwei. Wants to weld in front of the Japanese stone, lock them out. Fraction wide. And a fraction heavy.
To the back of the button, it's it, shot stone.
Japan can make a play and hit that one high side and squeeze it out between their own 2 and sit in the back 12 to lie 3. Don't think Japan would like to be on the nose here. Nakajima is going to come down and have a look before she throws. I think Sainer just wants to look at the angle, see how much she has to hit to get it through the hole. Has to hit about half, so I throw kind of like a hackish board weight. Hit half.
Play it that way, or you just throw weight and pick it clean too.
Yep.
Makes an easier shot for China coming back, less risk.
It does. I mean, I'm a fan of trying to save the shooter here. Pile the heat on your opponent. Make them look at a lot of rocks. They know you've got the hammer. And that might make them think twice about trying to freeze again. Long discussion here about this by the Japanese team. Now they're looking at the front stones. Now they're considering guarding. Gee whiz, I don't like that. Well, they're going to play the front stone. I don't understand this at all. Running your opponent's stones, you could set your opponent's stones into motion, kill your own shot. You got the hammer here.
Well, here's a little of the indecision that we've seen throughout the week, and just unsure of what they want to do.
No, I just don't like this call at all.
Well, Seina and Nakajima trying to open this up. Try and get both the reds if they can't, and we'll just get the one. Still leaves that Chinese stone back button shot.
So now all you've done is you've invited your opponent just to weld one in there. And you go from a situation where you have full control of the end, and now you've just handed it right back to your opponent. Through a tactical choice that you made.
感觉大呢。
And worse, Yao just threw this shot.
还是可以的。我看，变大，不行，变大一点。哦，他也算行了，可以，6区，不能再深了。
Want to try and just corner freeze that one.
没问题啊。哎呀，有点那啥呀。
Fraction heavy.
啊，
Japan gets a bit of a let off there.
又大了，这多大呀？没事，13.6岁。哎呀，気になって悪くないよ。哎呀。
Let's look at all the other scores. Finland, another force. They're up 9-3 over against Germany in the 7th. 3-2 Switzerland up over the USA. We're 3-2 as well, Japan leading, and Russia doubling up Latvia 6-3 in 7. This is session 19. Eyes all around, figure out what's going on, setting up the playoff scenarios.
Nakajima blasting, it's going to jam the back.
Lie 2.
Yeah, but now it's a fairly straightforward just off nose double takeout and your opponent's lying 4.
Can you make this and avoid the jam?
Totally.
这边这个没有相关吧？没有。打到这儿就没有。
Just off nose, it'll redirect off the back stone, ping right through the hole.
So we've got to hold this one, make the double. Did it over curl. They'll jam on the back one.
Well, again, Japan getting a bit of a let off.
Leaves both of them in play still.
Does roll the Japanese stone into 5th shot position, so that's
Take a while to come into play.
take a while to come into play. Just over curled. Could hit that a little bit higher side, and that would have made the double through the hole, but she winds up jamming.
I want to try and roll right in front of the other one.
Yeah, you've got a couple of options on this, Luke. You could roll behind the corner, or you could roll the other side to sit in front of the Chinese stone in the 8-foot. I do like to roll a little bit to the outside. Now the angles are less good for China. There is a double there, but it is set up to jam this time. Interesting, China electing to hit second shot here. Or are they? Well, yeah. Neji looking to hit the back stone and get a little inside roll behind the front stone.
We'll try and get the inside roll. Roll it in, get shot stone out of it. And not quite.
Not quite.
Still shot for Japan. Japan does have the hammer here in a 3-2 game.
Just see all of the back stone.
Can you make that double and roll your shooter on?
Well, I think that's what Sena was, that was her first instinct. You can roll your shooter into 3rd shot position. If you do play the top. Risk if you blow it by. As Japan down to 12:45 on their time clock, so they're going to have to keep an eye on things. They've still got their time out, but they've used a lot more clock than their opponent right now.
How much they try to bank how much per end?
Well, the way I used to think about it, Luke, you start with 38 minutes rather. You try to get to the 5th end break with 19 or 20 on your clock. Playing in the 7th now, you're down to 12 minutes. That's not so great. A little tight. 3 and a bit minutes an end.
Well, trading hits here. It is 1-2
It's a good shot.
For Japan.
Wang Rei making her way down to the delivery end. She can see a little bit more of the target rock than her opponent could. So just see how much weight she throws here.
Wang Rei, 4-stone thrower in 163rd game. Wearing the Chinese colors, 11-7 against Japan. Trying to get it to the nose. Again, just that quiet weight.
Yeah, Japan doesn't have to worry too much about the roll here. It's more around whether your second shot. Japan stuffs the roll behind the guard. Chinese will just hit the open stone. It's an interesting thought here. You don't have to hit this stone. You can draw one in there. You could split your own. Higher risk. But that might be a way to manufacture a 2 or a 3.
Sen doesn't have a feel of a 3 to it, so it's almost, you just want to make sure you score your 2.
Yeah, the shot choices that Japan made mid-end, which was I think I made pretty clear I didn't like very much. They told me that they're really just happy to score 2. Weren't really thinking about 3 at all. Time ticking away for the Japanese. Kitazawa grips the stone to the back of the handle, and characteristic high rotation release, and they jump this one immediately. They have to save the shooter.
I'll make the hit. How far do they roll? They go over, in behind. Did they leave a double now?
So now we get a look at the grip and release of Ikue Kitazawa. Just watch her hand, takes it to the back of the handle and then lets it go.
A lot of the training or coaching of youngsters now, are they on the back, or is it still your hand on top of the handle?
You're seeing more of the back of the handle type of thing, and I either credit or blame, depending on how you look at it, Nicholas Edin. That Nick is an athlete that grips at the back of the handle, and that's one of the things that allows them to throw really big weight really accurately. But the quid pro quo is that you have to really be consistent with your release when you grip and deliver that way. Is Wang Rei now lining up a double takeout? This could take Japan right out of the end.
Good shot, gotta make the double and avoid the jam. Across the top, make the double, and there they go.
So as quickly as that, the deuce is gone, and now Japan is forced.
Maybe a slight decision of whether to draw or hit, but the hit is the call. Look at this double, Wang Rei. They played across the top, so there's no jam possibility.
Very nice. So job done for China. They're going to get the hammer back in the even end, 2 down, if Japan can convert here.
So final shot, 7th end. Needs the nose hit.
Waiting for this one a long time, not laying a brush to it yet. Now they're saying clean. That's
A late
happy days. Clean's the word you love to hear as a sweeper, and it's a single for Japan.
Well, they get their 1. They leave the opportunity out there, but it is a 2-point lead again for Japan. They are now up 4-2 over China.
这局你就拿2分打，然后就是稍微专注一点，就把剩下3局咱就干完就得了。行，这局就干2分，然后第9局再走。完了，加油啊！加油！
4-2 score in our feature game. Thanks for watching the LGT World Women's Curling Championship 2019. So we are in Silkeborg, Denmark. It's the second time Denmark's hosted the Women's World Curling Championship. Last time, SBR 2011, 8 years ago. That was the last time that Sweden was world champions. They know they're into a semi-final tomorrow. First stone in as we'll compare players here in this 8th end. Slight advantage for Ma Jingyi, 86 to 82%. Lower numbers on hits for both leads.
It's been a really good week here in Silkeborg. Organization's been excellent. The arena's terrific.
Curling has been good as well, and you're probably
Curling.
wishing for a better
Yeah,
partner.
This game here is. We were talking during the between end breaks, and sometimes in a game you feel like the teams are trying to not lose as opposed to win, and this game has that feel that they're both a little cautious when they've got opportunities to really press the hammer down and try to go for the throat. They're making choices that are a little more conservative and back away from that opportunity. So really like to see one of these teams really step forward and try to grab this game.
So 4-2. First one into the top of the rings for Ishiguka.
Russia, Latvia, and we have 2 Russian stones in the rings. So it looks like an opportunity for Latvia. They're just going to have to be forced to draw for a single. Stasta Saruna, the Latvian skip, delivers it. Just needs full 8 foot.
Well, there is backing. It doesn't look like it has it at this point, but they're just guiding this one in.
No problem there for the Latvians. Looks like it's just going to come to rest just on the tee line. So that's a single point for them, but they trail by 2. The Russians in control. And we'll take a look at this other really key game in this afternoon draw, Switzerland-USA.
That's got
4 stones on the rings, the Americans, and so Alina Petz in tough on her final shot.
almost looks like maybe just trying to play it to cut the steel down.
Well, we'll see what she can do. Have to work some magic here.
Got to hit this one perfectly.
And that's pretty magic.
It'll stick, find a way to stick that one top of the 8-foot. Throwing the triple, didn't overthrow it, and gets the single point. So that's 4-2 after 7.
Great shot. USA with the hammer in the even ends, though. They're not out of that one. They will need to deuce in the 8.
Former world champion in Switzerland playing very well.
Yeah, Alina's teamed up with Silvana Tiranzoni. used to be quite fierce opponents in Switzerland, but now they've teamed up, and sometimes it's better to can't beat them, join them. And they've been a pretty formidable twosome here on the back end for Switzerland this week.
Yeah, they've won 5 in a row after starting 2 and 3.
Yep, on a roll. 3 Japanese stones lined up along the center line now, so things looking pretty good for the Japanese. China now having to pull the chute and bail out of the end a little bit. This one's got some curling to do. It's half. Pushes the Japanese stone back. And just through the rings.
Well, China's trying to set up their 2. So far this week, they're second best in getting multiple points with the hammer, 58%. So they'll try and use that to their advantage right now. Japan, though, they are the best in the force efficiency. Maybe that's why it's been the struggle back and forth in this game.
Offense against defense, the classic struggle. Nakajima trying to guard this up. Wants to get it near that center line to defend the stones in the rings. Pretty close. But leaving enough of an opening that China thinks they can make a play at the stones in the rings. Both of the second stones struggling a bit this afternoon in the mid-low 60s.
Nakajima in the draw game, Mingyu in the hit game. So
now China, after a brief look at hitting the stone in the top 12 foot, looked to be just ripping the center guard.
just ripping it or running this one into the house.
Well, they might be thinking about running it. The problem with the run is you leave a center guard yourself. They do just clear.
Again, Japan. Play these nice and easy. Not nice and easy, just it's a more relaxed. Throw in the guard, it's not the high pressure. Got to make the run double.
Well, Ishiguka got this end set up really well for Japan. And now the rest of her teammates are just trying to defend that good early work. Luke talked about Japan's force efficiency, and this is exactly what you do when you're trying to force your opponent into a single point. Keep things up the middle, line them up, defend them well. This stone, again, has got a bit of curling to do, though. They want to get this a little closer to the center line. Leave it sitting up pretty high. Good separation between the guard stone and the stone in the rings. Makes it tougher to double off.
Hans, we'll go back to the point you made about not wanting to lose the game.
Right.
Younger teams, is that possibly the playoff positioning on the line?
Yeah, maybe, although in the case of this Japanese team, I don't think so. Being such a new team, being in this position, it's kind of you reach this stage of the week and everything is like a cherry on the top of the cake.
Playing with house money.
Exactly. It's more the game situation, I think. China this time going around and making a play on the stone in the rings. They will tap it back, but not through.
Well, they roll, try and sit top 12 foot.
Now, who's second shot?
I think it's that yellow one, still second shot. Very close.
If it is, that's very good news for Japan.
Look at the comparison of thirds. Both have played very well. Meiji, 80%. Matsumura, 84%.
Yeah, she's had a very good game.
A lot more hit focused on the third position than you normally see.
Some teams do have tendencies and favor certain shots. Yaki Matsumura with more conventional grip on her release. And another guard here. Looking for a little bounce off the top stone. It's a pretty good spot. Covers the shot rock. And China will immediately run up to clear them. China now in a situation where they're realizing we got to score here. A steal here would be very bad news.
Is this a must-make double peel?
Yeah, pretty much. You got to open something up and rattle them around, Luke. Not bad.
Stick that, leave the one guard still in play, but off the center line.
Yep.
Still, Japan line one. It's very close to
Think
second.
two. One for sure. So this puts a little bit more pressure on the Japanese. Now the guard has to be better because some of the protection is already gone.
Well, Japan continue to plug the hole. They've started off well, continue to put these guards up. Nice little position for them to be in this eighth end, leading by 2.
A force here would be big for Japan, but a steal would be huge. Lots of weight on this one. Well, that saves the sweepers. Comes down all by itself. Just bites the top 12. Don't think they wanted it that tight, though, because now China can think about killing the front end, running it in.
Did you see that indication? It looked like Meiji wanted to play across the face, going left to right of your screen. And Wang Rei goes, no, let's play it this way. And if we miss it, we can get on that back one, too.
Yeah, across the top. If you go across the top, you're sending it across the face of the stone in the forefoot. Might even make, you know, a raised double takeout. Kitazawa, look at that, 98 for the game. That is mighty fine shooting.
The draws for Wang Rei, lower.
Yeah,
Quite a
38.
bit.
Very unlike her. Usually a very good player of the draw. There'll be a hit here, though.
She's been good on them in the game. They know a win, and they are into the playoffs. But right now, trailing 4-2. Trying to hold this one to get a second one in the rings, and right through the hole.
Trying to spin this one on.
It does not spin on, it looks like. Stays out of the rings, I believe.
Looks like it. A little grimace from Ray as she comes back down to the delivery end.
Another opportunity to put this guard out in front.
Yeah, I don't think they'll want this one quite as tight as the last one. About 2 feet short of the rings, just touching center would be ideal for Japan. If you're going to show them any side, you actually want to show them the intern side.
So without the hammer leading, Kitazawa.
Good-looking line as we walk along with the sweepers. Over curling a fraction. Not bad. Looks to me like Wang Rei has only got the draw to the tee line, but to get there, she's going to have to get really close to that top corner guard, just at the top of our picture. Shot may not be there, Luke.
At first glance, I didn't think it was. If they think their second shot, may they play the run back?
They could, or if they can see enough of the rock, maybe she's thinking I can somehow sneak by the guard and make a double takeout.
But it looks like they put the broom down for the draw.
Okay.
If it's there, to me, to the eye, it doesn't look like it.
Well, we've seen how much the stones curl this week, Luke, and so you're right. The danger stone for China is the stone right at the top of our screen, that red rock. To get past the stone in the top of the forefoot, China's going to just have to shave that stone, and it's going to curl a lot after it goes by that stone. So very tough shot here for Wang Rei.
Last stone here of 8. See if this draw is available. Need to put it on the tee line and get the right line. For China, try and get that single point.
Let's watch this corner guard.
See how they manage it. Got to get it past that corner guard first. And it won't. It catches a good chunk of it.
Now, is it a steal for 2? Now, this is the big thing. It's a steal of 1 for sure. Have they already agreed? It's in fact a steal of 2. That's huge.
The steal of 2 puts Japan now up by 4 with 2 ends remaining. Just a poor end from China in this one. Cost them. Down 6-2 after 8.
でもなるべく綺麗な感じでね。2点なら取られても大丈夫。2個置いちゃっていいんだよね。2個置こう。OK。いい位置で決まると楽だね。6と5ぐらいだね。あまりフリーズするとあるから、この辺ぐらいだね。で、3でちょうどいい。没事的，这球一太晚。他这几个站位站得太好了，根本没法磕。 对，没有质感，没啥脚。行，没事，加油，加油，加油。刚才那球啊，给一点好。你说我如果第一个球不让。
Trouble, trouble, trouble in China. Gave up a steal of 2. It's a long road back. Still may make the playoffs, but they are in trouble now, trailing 6-2 and playing the 9th end. Luke.
This is their only game of the day. It all depends, but the head-to-head record becomes so big. Japan moving into this position with a win moves to 6-5. China drops to 7-5, and then they're done. Then it's up to everyone else. What else happens? Japan does have Sweden tonight. Still have to go beat them. You have to go beat Sweden. Maybe get them a little relaxed. They know that they don't need to win, do anything to get into their game. They know where they sit going into tomorrow.
Yep.
But you don't want to take anything for granted if you're China. It's a long way back, down by 4. Just we're never able to come up with a full shot, just half shots. Double peels didn't work. Run backs didn't work.
Yeah. And credit to Japan in that 8th end, and credit in particular to their lead Hasumi Ishiguka, who set up that end with some beautiful guards and come-arounds. China was chasing for the whole end, and ultimately we're left with a really difficult final shot. Wang Rui, we doubted if it was even there, and she was all over that guard.
Yeah, and I was just trying to think, what did her weight look like? It looked like it wasn't far off. It's going to be in the ballpark.
Well, you know what? I mean, it was one of those shots. It might have been the only shot she had, but it's one of those ones where you're thinking as you're climbing in the hack, you almost have to alter your rotation to make the shot. Like you almost have to throw a bit of a spinner to cut down the curl, and that's something you never want to be thinking about when you're having to throw a shot like that.
You're seeing that a lot more, though. Some teams are actually managing certain spots in the ice with more or less rotation.
Yeah.
And able to judge that.
Yeah. It's a real skill, but it's hard to do. You're normally trying to be really consistent on the amount of rotation you throw. But yes, now you get some players that do actually practice varying the amount of rotation. The most extreme example I can think of there is Tommy from Finland, who would throw 8 or 9 rotation draws deliberately. But end result, China's got to get at least 2 here and maybe 3 just to have a hope. The formula for the Japanese, as Luke said, they're playing Sweden tonight. Japan can close this one out. And if they can knock off Anil Hasselborg tonight, Japan will be in the playoffs.
We won't say any other scenario because we only have 2 ends left to tell you that in.
Yeah, that's right. We've got a 95-page computer printout beside us telling us all the playoff possible combinations and permutations. even with a loss here, China dropping to 7-5 does not necessarily eliminate them from playoff contention. So although if they do lose this game, they'll be really disappointed and they'll lose some momentum going into the playoffs. At least they have a chance to be in the playoffs. Whereas teams like the USA and Canada may win and still not get there anyways. And let's have a look in at the USA versus Switzerland.
Sarah Anderson in at the skip position, injury earlier today after the game. After handshakes, tripping over a stone, hurting her leg was Jamie Sinclair. Couldn't go after practice this afternoon and needs the hit and stick.
Well, it's going to roll outside, but does it hang on?
I don't know. It looks like red to me.
It looks like red to me too, Luke.
And it is 1 red, so Switzerland a 5-2 lead. USA coming in, holding on with that 5-loss, 6-5 record. Technically in last place, you see Sinclair and P. Fenson on the bench watching him behind. Look over Russia, Latvia, 6-4 Russia leading Latvia in the 8th end.
2 Latvian stones in the rings. Open hit and stick for Alina Kovaleva. This Russian team has been very steady this week. No problem there for Kovaleva. Single point for the Russians, and that puts them up 7-4 after 8. They're in control. 3 up with 2 to play. Japan defending the end well. 3 Japanese stones in the forefoot, 1 Chinese stone now in the top 12.
Well, now the peels can come, but the way the scores are going with Japan leading this one, if they move up, they would go to 6-5 if they can hold on this. USA, if they drop it, they go to 6-6. But the key there, Japan beat the USA. So
Japan would be ranked ahead of the USA in that scenario.
And will make the peel, touches that red stone up. So shot stone now belongs to China.
Yeah, the good news, I guess, for Japan is that all of the stones are clustered in and around that forefoot circle, so it's a kind of a small radius blasting area for them. They do just want to remove Chinese stones every time they get a chance. Japan with the luxury now of, with the 4-shot lead, they can give up a 2 here and still feel pretty comfortable. They can even give up 3 here and still feel okay.
They wouldn't want to, but
no, it's definitely not in the playbook. You don't want to give up 3.
Just don't give up the 4.
Yeah. China trying to make that freeze, and that is a perfect freeze. The toughest shot in curling.
Right on the corner.
Angles are great. That's as good as a stone as you can carry down.
Well, all those stones in together. Look at them all congested. Matsumura try and blast a bunch out.
Well, just make the percentage play. Try to hit the Chinese stone that is least likely to jam. Get something out of there. And if you kill a couple of your own in the process, no biggie. That's a good shot.
So gets rid of the 1. I'm sure they wouldn't have minded if I got rid of 1 of those yellows. And we have our first final here. Finland knocks off Germany. So Germany has been eliminated from the playoffs. Finland wins game number 3. Germany, though, falls to 4-7. Convincing 10-4 win for Finland.
Yeah, it was a tough week for Una Costa and company, but it's always nice to finish your round robin on a high, and that was a very dominating performance today. So that's 1 more team out of the playoff picture. These 2 teams are in the playoff picture. Meiji.
So trying to find a way. They still have a corner. They have a few stones to freeze on.
Yeah, something to work with here for China, definitely. 3 is not out of the realm of possibility here. This stone may be slightly over curling, however. Pretty good, though.
No, they've mastered the freeze in the last couple.
They have. That's a situation for Japan. Hammer the inside of that stone that was just delivered, and you can, in the process, probably kill both of your own stones, but that's okay. Take away the backing that the Chinese are using right now. Oh, very nice shot by Matsumura. And they want to get that Chinese stone out of the rings. A little inattention there.
It lingers, so the biter brings even more into play now.
Needed to hit this one a little bit thinner. Overswept it, to be honest.
It doesn't quite get out of the rings.
Trying to squeeze that one out. Didn't quite do it. So the 3 is definitely on now for China. I think if I'm China, I might think about freezing my own stone in this situation.
What if where the broom is right there, freeze on the inside?
I think if you're going to have to play a high risk shot to get a big end anyways. So you could freeze the Japanese stone right there. That's a legitimate call. If you freeze your own red, then you're forcing Japan to probably try some kind of a guard, and then you can hammer your own on the next shot. And you might get 4 that way. And in this situation, China's got to be thinking we got to get at least 3. But an inside corner freeze on the Japanese stone top 4-foot would be an excellent shot. Nakajima in the background, hoping that they're going to have something to play at. Get a look at the starting block, the hack. Tough to make perfect freeze after perfect freeze. This one looks fractionally heavy, but no, it's actually really good. Nice shot.
It's 3 straight precise shots. That little bit of a bump, though, does that give enough?
Well, the angles are bad for Japan. Set up to jam. If you throw it in the pocket and you throw a heater, all you're going to do is you're going to leave China lying first and probably third and fourth, and you're opening up a chance of a 4. That's not a bad shot. Freeze it into the pocket. Timeout being called by Japan. This is a good timeout. Thing is, if you blast those reds one now, you bring that stone on the edge of the 12-foot into the picture. You could play a gentle tap instead of a freeze. You could just throw back 8-foot weight into the pocket and just push the 2 yellow stones away from the red stones a little bit. The question that you're asking yourself in this situation is, what's acceptable? What can we live with? You're saying we can live with dropping 3. You can hit the stone on the wing.
That's what I was thinking. Force, and then you force China to make their shot.
Exactly. You don't want to make the shot for your opponent. But if you're deciding that only 2 is acceptable, then you're thinking differently. Here comes Yusuke Morozumi.
今のいいと思うけ
Japanese
ど
coach.
ね、外出して、そうだね、ロールっていうか、そうっす。芯だとね、赤がさ、中に入ってきちゃうじゃん。あんま中入りたくなって、ボードぐらいでさ、黄色だけなくなって、今、千秋がブラシ、ちょうど千秋がいる位置ぐらいに自分の石を残す。
ここ？OK。
ミスするんだったらこっちにロールの方までいい。
のがいい。こっちに行き過ぎて、自分のがな、まあ、
入っちゃうのやばい。
入っちゃって赤が重なるとさ、次相手に多分4点のチャンスになる。一回残しとく。このエンド2点は全然いいから。一番悪くて3点までになる。
水だと微妙だよね。
まあまだ2投あるからね、俺は。
おすすめします。
次だって出せるじゃん。フリーズしたらさ、次相手どうなるかわかんないけど、相手の出せない状態になってるかもしれないから。
ボードでロールしても
Seem like freeze the.
That does seem to be where they've landed Luke.
I'm talking about hand motions and where they place the broom. Nothing to do with what they just
Your
said.
Japanese is improving. Yeah, they talk through some options, and I think Nakajima's instinct.
Or this looks like the ice for a hit, though.
They are looking like
Hit
throwing
and
a
try
hit.
and sit on the corner of it.
Well, gosh. I guess they're trying to hit the left-hand stone first and get a little sideways action on the top stone in the process. So that's dangerous from my perspective. But the choice has been made. Quiet wait.
Really working. Kitazawa's first. They're trying to hold the line on it.
This looks like trouble to me. Nose is it. Good news for Japan is at least they left their own stone in front of the Chinese rock.
11.5。よかったよ。いつもよりは少しリリースは少なめだったけど、幅も。
Gives them something on their last, but China in a good position, made some nice shots.
不行，这块太近了，一抽就没了。这儿吧。
Wang Rei trying to think about what her opponent's going to do if she does something.
就是我就是这个意思，就是那个打甩一点嘛。对。
You could freeze right there, right now.
可以。是吧？就算先刮黄的也是，转皮儿一顺势感觉一转还是这么。
You could make the play and hit now.
I think you almost need to hit now. It seems to try and make sure that you score.
Well, the thing is, Luke, if you did wedge one in there for fourth shot, corner frozen, then what's Japan going to play in response? Probably either following it down or a guard of some time, and then you're gambling in that situation that you'll be able to get to the nose of that stone to promote it and push the Japanese stone out. So it's a gambling strategy, but one that gives you a higher chance of a 3 with certainty. If you make the move now and you hit red, red, or red, yellow, then chances are you're giving Japan a double takeout, and maybe you only get 2.
Seems like ice to throw some weight and try and shoot or come off and get the other yellow as well and just move it a bit.
Yep. Team China in a situation where there's a lot of options, quite often they'll bias to a hit, and they can definitely move stones around, so it is definitely a hit. A big shove at the end from Wang Rei.
Trying to carve it, trying to get the other side of this one. Punch that stone out.
They're waving the stone to try to get it out of the rings into fourth shot position.
Valiant effort to get it out, but they don't move it. Is that a triple?
It is a triple. Have to hit it just off nose with a lot of weight, but there is a possibility for Japan to kill all 3 Chinese stones.
We've seen Kitazawa. She can throw it hard.
Yes, she can. Let's have another look at the
close.
Result. Yes, it was close. Look at this stone going sideways. Look at the wave, wave, wave. Come on, go, 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 go. Not quite. Japan basically trying to hit the stone right where the brush is. With a lot of weight, that would squirt the stone between the 2 reds, propel it through the hole as well, and carry it out through the back.
So, Kue Kitazawa, her final shot in this 9th end, leading 6-2, trying to make some red go away. Well, close. Get 1, get 2, get 3, get 4. Won't quite get the 4th.
Well, they actually got it back into third shot position. That's an outstanding shot. Worth another look. Look at Matsumura Nishiguka on the brushes, and look at the action. Red rocks flying everywhere. Side jams on the side, but the spin at the end carries the Chinese stone out into third shot position. This is a fantastic shot. Still a chance for China to make a double takeout for 2, but that's an end saver for Team Japan. Takes the big end right out of the picture. The youngster, Nikui Kitazawa, delivering in the clutch on that one. Inside double takeout available for China to still score 2 here. Must make for Wang Rei.
Takes an extra second.
Yeah.
They've been reeling a bit. They started 6-0, 1-4 since.
Goodness.
Needs us just to have a chance at 2.
This is a tough shot for 2.
Well, on it early. Do they have enough? Get 1, make the double.
Oh, great shot by Wang Rei.
Good response right back. Make the double when needed. And China gets 2. They'll need 2 more in the 10th via the steal. But Wang Rei comes up with the clutch double takeout.
That's a big one for China. Keeps them alive. One more look. Had to flirt with the side corner guard to make the shot, but Wang Rei delivers. Keeps China alive in this one.
So 6-4 after 9 ends of play. Japan leads China. Well, quite the big weight shots to finish off that 9th end. 6-4 the score as we play the 10th end now. China-Japan, our feature game. The LGT World Women's Curling Championship. China will go hard to try and steal 2. Japan will play the tick shots.
Yep.
As we see another final, it is Russia defeating Latvia 9-4. So Russia has finished their round robin at 9-3. Latvia will finish 1-11 at this year's World Championship. Russia's into the playoffs, and they currently sit in 2nd place, but depends what Korea does tonight. If Korea wins, they'll be into the qualifying games. If not, depends on what Switzerland does.
And it's weird to think that the big shot at the end is actually the first shot of the end, but in this case, that's true. Trying the tick shot, trying to remove the stone off the center line.
Try and push it to the corner, roll the shooter off as well, so there's not even the
great shot.
on the
Absolutely
side.
perfect. Asumi Ishiguka.
She's played very well the last couple ends, really.
Yeah, she's had a great game today.
Look back, that steal of 2 in the 8th. 2 first stones stacked perfectly in the rings.
She has really led this Japanese team today. See what I did there. Trying to get a chance to throw another guard. Five rock free guard zone. Good guard, long guard. Ishiguka composing herself. Distance is a little bit different this time.
Again, can't remove this stone. That one really made a jump on them.
Yeah, this one's actually got some backing though. She can hit this stone. It's got it a little too thick. China moving en masse to sweep it to the boards, and when it touches, that one will come back.
So 1 for 2 on the tick shot.
Yeah, just got the sweep read a little late on the second one. So that stone free guard zone rule applies. So trying to hold the line here. Now watch Team China.
As they do on many of their own sweeps, 3 sweepers,
Let's
sometimes
go.
4. They were all ready to go on that. And sometimes teams aren't prepared for that. They don't have the extra sweepers down there.
Yeah, that's a sign of a well-coached team. Work the details. Yaman Yu. Challenge for China. They not only have to steal 1, they have to steal 2. So they have to stack centers to get it going, but they're going to have to get 2 stones in the rings to force this to extra time.
Perfect position. They'd love to have Japan throwing against at least 2. Well, they'll have to throw against 2, but 3 on their last.
Well, that would be ideal, or at least 2 really, really well guarded.
Well, as they line up the double peel, just 2 games left. We'll slide over to the other one. Switzerland, USA. Huge playoff implications this one.
Okay,
Switzerland 7-3, USA 6-5.
Looks like an American stone on the front of the 4-foot. USA with the hammer here. They're really needing a deuce.
Have to try and just sliver that one in.
Double clear attempt in our game while that's going on as Sarah Anderson lines this one up for the USA.
Welcome to the skip position, Sarah Anderson. 5-2 down, 9th end. Your team at 6-5. On the cusp of a playoff spot. Got to get past. Won't get past the front, so they will just get a single point. A 5-3 game now. They'll have to be the same scenario that China's in our game. Steal 2 in the 10. Tough for Jamie Sinclair. Out due to an injury. Has to sit on the bench and watch.
And that's tough. Any athlete wants to be out there on the playing surface to have some influence. China now. 1 more guard. They bring us close to the rings. That's a very good spot. So now Japan with some decisions. You're going to be clearing a guard. Which one do you want to hit is the question.
Well, and with that U.S. game over there, they lost to Japan in round robin. So Japan holds that tiebreaker.
They do.
Any scenario, and then also, but China's lost to the U.S. Japan would, although, hold the tiebreaker for both of them because they would have beaten both if Japan holds on to this win.
That's right. So Japan very much in control of their own destiny here. Have to keep their focus in the here and now and complete the job. Nakajima, slightly risky play here. Looking to try and go around the center guard to hit the Chinese guard just thrown in front of the rings. Risky because if you feather the front, you're going to leave a pile of rocks in play, and if you hit it too thin, you might push the Chinese stone onto the rings. She pushes the Chinese stone on the rings. Have they pushed it through the rings? Yes, they have. Nice shot by Nakajima. That was not an easy shot.
No one to hold the shooter too, just as another stone they can.
Bit of a saver, just closes the scoring area up even more for the Chinese. Means they have to get 2 inside the 8-foot now to get their steal of 2 to force an extra end.
OK，下线，我的下线，下线，67，先负的，66，没事儿没事儿，等线。
China again trying to come around the guards on the
线路很好。
right-hand side of our picture. Coming into the rings this time. Remember, they need to steal 2. That's a good shot. Very good spot.
So at this stage of the end, do you peel the guard? Do you follow it down to basically eliminate that one?
Rip away. You've got the hammer. You're 2 up. Clear everything in sight.
Well, trying to get it off of that one top of the rings. Something else that they could hide behind.
I was going to say kind of a bad break there to jam their own, because that is something that China could go around. But the good news is they opened up the shot rock. China will probably need to go around this red corner guard one more time. Wang Rui saying, yep, I think we need to go there. I agree. No options great for China because there's now nothing guarding the center line. If you're going to get cover, you're going to be out there in the 8-foot. It's a different ball game when you're trying to steal 2. You're really having to play for opponents to have one clean miss. 3:48 on the time clock for China. Enough time for them to have a chat about this important decision.
Yeah, they got a little over a minute for each shot.
他打甩也没事。哎，你没有甩到这边正好占坑。往这儿投一个呢？他可能会选择打那个。对。你往这边站，他现在就是打这个。他要是甩过来，你可以占坑，他正好在这儿了。但我觉得占位是不是2分？好像占位有点不太那啥了。他肯定就是清你占位。如果你要是这儿呢？站这边呢？往那儿他还是清。他清完你选一个那个。
3:11 and counting. We can see the time clock in the background of our picture. Remember, they've already used their timeout.
And both sides have called their timeouts.
No terrific options here for China. Could do something like corner freezing the Japanese stone and trying to hit and double roll over on your last, but anything you do, it's going to give Japan a draw in the 4-foot area.
Front end was down there still discussing the shot with Wang Rui. Well, Meiji, who's throwing the game, who calls the game for them, in the hack, ready to go.
Yeah, I'm ready to go. Let's go. Got to throw a rock here. Sweepers barely got down to the other end before
she's coming out of the hack. Going around the corner. Ultimately, I think a sensible choice. Trying to get a bit of separation. I want to get a couple in there.
Yeah, it's a pretty good shot. Japan will continue to just eliminate stones as best they can. China wants to make Japan look at 2 at least on their last. Force your opponent to make a shot to beat you. Japan taking a long time looking at this one. They've got to watch their time clock. They've used their timeout, and they've got less time than the Chinese.
You can see a good chunk of combination of both of them. You know, make one go away.
Well, just want to avoid hitting something really thin.
Chiaki Matsumura, 90% on her hits. Very accurate. top one off, so runs that one right through.
Good shot by Matsumura. China now thinking about going around the yellow, but as Nakajima and Kitazawa look on, now they're looking at going around the corner again. I think this is the better play for China. Go half around the top stone, top 8 foot, show your opponent corners of rocks that they might feather off. Japan's going to have the 4 foot available, but China trying to make their last shot a tough one. Make them look at, ideally look at lose as opposed to look at tie. Wang Rei.
See the draws, low numbers. Just 30% on the game, 5 draws. Need to make a couple now.
Yep, got to be at least second shot here. Oh, good looking stone.
Yeah, we got to get full 12 foot.
Just. Came pretty close to the guard. Have to bury this one. And a full team sweep to drag this one into the 12 foot. They had to be second shot. If this was third shot, pretty much lights out. But they do get it into second shot position, so China's still alive here. Meiji with a smile. Japan will want to stick around this time, and of course China play a hit, I think. Kitazawa's had a very good afternoon trying to finish it out. Not laying abreast to this one, though. This one's got a bit of curling to do.
Good performance in a big game, trying to make sure that one goes away. And will it stick around as well?
Okay, well, importantly, that outcounts the stone in the 12 foot. So that's shot rock now.
Normally you probably don't want that one to stick, but there actually.
Yeah, that's good news.
Will make an easier shot on your last. You'll have the open 4 foot either way.
Yeah, worst case scenario for the Japanese here is drawing the 8 foot for the win. China can hit and roll behind the yellow stone, leave their own stone sitting back 8 foot. And that will leave Kitazawa a draw to full 8 foot to win the game. So it's important that Wang Rei, she must stick around, must be in shot rock position.
See both teams getting lower on their time. Need to hit and stick, and won't stick around. It rolls out, and that'll do it without their last. Unable to stick around, Wang Rei, and Japan picks up the victory. They move to 6-5. China drops to 7-5. Oh, so close, but it rolls out, and Japan, a huge game, a huge win. Chance they could potentially clinch a playoff spot depending on other scenarios, but a 6-4 win for Japan. Well, last game out on the ice, 5-3. Switzerland leading the U.S. U.S. needing to steal 2 against Switzerland. And the U.S. got one in behind this short run back. Chance for Switzerland to defeat the U.S. Well, won't be able to remove that one, but peels their own out. So leaves that one back. Forefoot, back button.
Okay, right? Yep.
Feature game over with Japan winning against China. China finishes round robin 7-5.
Yeah, I like it.
Waiting to see what the U.S. does, coming in at 6-5.
I have to make sure it's in, so I'm not gonna be like.
Japan, 1 game left to play there at 6-5,
12, you got it. Get it in there. Yeah.
but defeated the U.S., so they hold that tiebreaker head-to-head. U.S. need to win to try and get into the playoffs.
Same weight.
Sarah Anderson, final shot, having to skip due to an injury to the U.S. skips Jamie Sinclair.
It's all there.
There is going to be an open
Wanna
hit.
just Christmas tree it a little. Yep. Whoa, 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 whoa,
On its
whoa.
own. On
Just
its
here.
own. On its own.
That's it. Okay. Good. Okay.
Well,
Nice.
not much more you can do. You force the throw against the tying points, but they're close together, clustered.
Solid. Yep.
Vicky Persinger in there playing third here in this game. A solid game from her at 84. But Sarah Anderson, a little bit of struggles in the game. Alina Pet's chance to pick up win number 6 in a row. Move to 8-3. And will make that one go away. Give up the steal of 1, but a 5-4 Swiss win. And that will clinch Switzerland into the playoffs. They're 8-3. U.S. drops to 6-6. Japan, one more round robin game, but they defeated the U.S. They hold the tiebreaker. We get to try and set our 6 teams for the playoffs. 6-4 Japan defeating China, our feature game here this afternoon. China taking on Japan. 7th end. It was a tough start sledding through this one, but an opportunity to get the single point. Unable to score multiple points, but an important score for Japan. Kitazawa hits and scores 1. 9th end, though. A triple by Kitazawa leaves just those 2 in there, but they need to move both of them to try and score 2 for China. And the double made. Wang Rei keeps them alive, scoring 2. And 10th end, it was a hit by Wang Rei, unable to stick around, rolls out. And that means a victory for Japan as they defeat their rival China. Other scores here in session 19. Finland defeats Germany 10-4. The U.S. drops to Switzerland 5-4. Japan knocks off China 6-4 in our feature game. And Russia over Latvia 9-4. And as session 19 wraps up, 1 session remaining. Positioning in for the playoffs. Important. Some interesting games, some tough ones for the U.S. They dropped that one. They lost their skip due to injury, wasn't able to play. Our game, Japan, coming up. Kitazawa playing almost nearly perfect, winning 6-4. Look at these standings. Look at all the cues up there. Sweden 10-1. They have got first spot. Russia at 9-3, technically in second right now, but Korea can get that later if they win tonight. Switzerland 8-3 as well. Then China is 7-5. Japan at 6-5 playing tonight. The U.S. though 6-6. Holding on to some hope. Well, Canada at 5-6. Right there, they need a win as well tonight. Germany and Scotland both 4-4. 7. while Denmark 3-8, Finland 3-9, and Latvia rounding out the field 1-11. Look at the standings. Canada right now at 5-6. They need to win, try and get into a tiebreaker amongst Japan and the U.S. But a lot of sledding. Surprise, you see Canada that far down. You see all three Pacific Asia nations, China, Japan, Korea, all right there in a position to try and be in the playoffs. China and Korea in. Well, Scotland, another disappointing finish out of the playoffs. Host nation Denmark, 3 wins, but maybe looking for more for Madeline Dupont in her 11th trip to a world championship. Every team has picked up a win, no one undefeated, but Sweden, though, topped the table, 10-1. They win 10 in a row at this point. Those 3 lost teams still battling it out for that second bye to the semifinals. Korea, though, has the head-to-head against Russia and Switzerland, beating both of them in round-robin play. So if Korea wins tonight in their final round-robin game, they will get the 2 seed. They'll take on Scotland tonight. Switzerland in action as well. They'll play Germany, who lost this one, as that sits where we are for our standings with 1 session remaining.
Your team has now qualified for the playoffs. How do you feel?
クオリファイしましたが、今のお気持ちを聞かせてください。
初めての世界選手権でクオリファイできることができてとても嬉しいです。
Okay, first world championship, and we made qualified, and that would be the greatest thing in my life.
Well, that is a great thing in your life. You're playing against Sweden tonight. How will your team prepare to play the Olympic champions?
今夜のスウェーデンについてどのような準備をしていますか？
今のような試合をできるようにしっかりみんなでコミュニケーションをとって挑みたいと思います。
With our communication, we just played what we have done this time for tonight.
Congratulations and good luck for the playoffs.
おめでとうございます。プレーオフ頑張ってください。
Well, Japan playing strong. They got 1 more to go. There's 1 more session of round robin before the playoffs. For Hans Frauenlob, myself, Luke Coley, our entire crew, thanks for watching the LGT World Women's Curling Championship.